Social studies, all right. Yes. Quickly. Yes. No, right now, you're gonna have to wait, you got 2 out already. Then, Sam, we're putting these things away, please, and getting out your social studies. Put that paper away safely so it doesn't get ruined. The one that you have on your desk, put that in your folder so it doesn't get ripped up. So friends, what I would suggest, as you finish papers for your poster, take them home and leave them there. Don't carry them back and forth. If they're done, leave them at home, because that is where you're going to assemble your poster. So taking them back and forth from here to home to here, it's just going to, either they're going to get ruined or lost or something. So if you finish something, take it home so it can stay in a safe place where you can keep it, okay? All right, but don't start assembling everything until you have all pieces to the puzzle that you can put it together. Make sense? That is why I wanted you to have a folder. All right, so, yes, Sam. I said when Owen comes back, you can go to the back. So we learned that who is supplying ammunition and guns to the Indians that were therefore fighting us. It was a joint effort between 2 countries, actually. Jeremiah. The British, and who is the second? It was coming out of this country, James. Canada. So the Brits have a stronghold in Canada, and from Canada, they were selling arms to Indians, and the Indians were fighting us. So we were having some success, but not a lot. So we are going to look on page 111. British attack the East. Who would like to read that first paragraph? M.
Just when America seemed to be winning, the British started to fight harder. By 1814, Britain had defeated France.
Okay, so remember at the very beginning, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to make sure, who was fighting in a war? And we were having a hard time trading because these 2 countries were fighting and they wouldn't let us trade with either one. Tyson.
Do you have to say both of them?
Yes. Or just one, if you don't want.
Great Britain.
Is one. And who were they fighting?
They were fighting, I don't remember.
That's okay. You were right. So Great Britain was fighting whom? At the very beginning, we talked about that, and the trading was very difficult. Jonathan?
France?
Yes. So we just learned that war ended. Go ahead, Em.
Britain now could focus on the United States.
Uh-oh.
The British attacked the eastern coast first. They wanted to take Washington, D.C. because it was the U.S. capital. They also wanted to control
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore was an important port city.
All right. So we are on the eastern coast of the United States. So they wanted to attack Washington, D.C. Who can tell me where Washington, D.C. is? Well, I'll show you because it's right here. Now, is Washington, D.C. a state in and of itself? No. But it is our capital. So then they're saying, what did they want to attack next, Em? Baltimore, Maryland. And then you can see these are all coastal cities. Why would they want to attack these areas? Olivia?
They could get there easily.
Yes. And if you control these coastal cities, here is Maryland right here, then you can really wreak havoc on other countries' trading. Because if you can control the port cities, you have major, major advantage. So, Washington, D.C. they wanted to capture that because it's our capital. Baltimore, Maryland. Maryland's right here, teeny tiny. But this whole area, the eastern coast, is a very prized area. Keep that in mind. All right, who would like to read the second paragraph? Tessa, nice and loud.
The British did well in Washington, D.C. Only a small force of Americans defended the city. They retreated when the British came. The British burned many buildings. They even burned the White House. The British said they wanted revenge on the Americans.
All right, so they burnt down the first White House. Did you all know that the White House burned down at one time? Well,
Yeah.
during this time. So that was traumatic. Who would like to read the third? Emma.
In Baltimore, the British had less success. Fort McHenry guarded the harbor of Baltimore. British ships fired on the fort for 25 hours. Although cannons
Bombarded. Good.
it
Continuously.
continuously, the fort stood firm. The British finally left Baltimore when they saw that the Americans did not give up.
All right, so interesting two attacks. One on Washington, D.C., and one on Baltimore. So there is a fort at Baltimore. There was not a fort protecting the White House. Not that the White House is not important, it is.
You have to be
However, why do you think there is a fort after what I just showed you where the location is? Why do you think they had a fort, and why do you think the Americans fought so hard against the Brits when they were trying to take Fort McHenry? Olivia,
I have a comment.
I need to answer the question first, and then I will take comments. Jonathan, well, no, the Brits are not interested in trading at this time with the Americans. Why did Britain want to take that particular area? Why is there a fort there? Why are we so steadfast in protecting it? You're correct, Jonathan. However, that's not quite the right, that's not why why was Britain wanting to take that area? I mean, trade is part of it. True. What else is important about the location of Baltimore? Grant. Well, it is. Tyson.
It's a main training place, so if they could block that off,
It's a military training area because there's a fort there. So it's a military base. That should tell you something. Does the military make a fort on areas that are important?
Yes.
No. They don't build forts on areas that aren't important. Why is this whole eastern coast, Maryland is right here, why is this area so important? Jonathan hit on part of it. It is for trading. What else? If the Britons can take over the eastern coast, what is that going to do to America? How is that going to affect us? James.
Because they can keep coming and coming.
Right. Well, they will not go away. They will control trading. They will control transportation. And we will lose our freedoms. Freedom that we already fought very hard in what war? Emmy.
World War II?
No. M.
The Revolution.
The Revolutionary War. There is an interesting comment that is to be taken note of that you should file away. now I can't find it. They wanted what on the Americans? James. Yes. Where is that? It was red and I can't find it.
It's at the last sentence of the second paragraph.
Okay. Could not give up. All right. So yes, they wanted revenge. What does that mean? They wanted revenge of what? What on earth are they wanting revenge of? What did we do to them earlier? The Revolutionary War. Tyson.
We beat them up.
We beat them. They didn't like that. They didn't like that this little new baby country took the Britons out of our country. So yeah, they would like revenge. Of course. Is Britain still at this point in time larger and more powerful than the United States? Absolutely. But yet we stood firm, which is pretty awesome. All right, so on 112, end of the war. We are going to finish that up.
Yay.
And then, we still got lots to do, don't worry. So who would like to read the first paragraph? Helen, end of the war on page 112.
Like the Americans, the British did not give up. They attacked northern New York from Canada. British ships sailed down a lake. The British soldiers
Marched.
marched by land. The Americans
Prepared, yep.
well for the attack. They won the battle both on land and on water. The British realized they would not defeat the Americans. The Americans' victory at the battle helped them in the peace talks with the British.
All right. So we just talked about how Britain is much larger than we are. They have a much bigger navy. Their navy is huge. Their army is huge. And yet we are able to fight them off. Because we have a lot of endurance, a lot of determination. Definitely the underdogs. And yet we again won the battle. So let's continue. Who would like to, Owen, read the whole, not rest of the page on 112.
In 1814, both sides agreed on a peace treaty. The war had come to a draw, but it took several weeks for this news to come to America. During this time, British troops attacked the American army at New Orleans. General Andrew Jackson commanded this army. Jackson's army was in a strong position, and the British could not. Some pirates also helped Jackson. American cannons destroyed the British army as it attacked, and the Americans won the battle in New Orleans. By this time, the peace treaty had already been signed. Both sides had already agreed to a draw, but winning the last battle was a successful end for the Americans.
All right. So much fighting going on. So let's also take into consideration. So Britain was prior to them fighting us. Who were they fighting?
France.
Yeah. So they had two wars going on at the same time, essentially. They had the war against France and then our war. So they were stretched pretty thin, which probably helped us a great deal. Because Britain's forces were divided up, and if the full force of Britain came upon us, who knows? Fortunately, we'll never have to find that out. But we're very determined, and who also helped us, which I think is kind of fun. Those crazy what? Wenching. Yeah, the pirates. Arr. The pirates and the Britons were not the best of friends. So they probably would have, because a lot of the pirates in Britain fought a lot on seas, because pirates were what? Were they fair traders?
No.
No. So a lot of Britain's goods were robbed, stole, and taken by the pirates. So I think there's a lot of bad blood between the pirates and the Brits. So I think they probably didn't have to twist the arms of the pirates a lot, the Americans, to help them. All right, so let us go to page 113. There is the first paragraph. Who would like to read that? Christian.
The peace treaty put ancient Jackson the way it was before the war. No one gained any land. No one lost any land. All Jackson did were returned. However,
European.
European countries began to
Respect.
respect Americans as a truly independent nation. Americans proved it could be defended itself.
All right, so that's an interesting paragraph. No land was lost, no land was gained. Any ships that were taken during battle were given back. But what really important aspect did America gain after this war? They didn't gain any money, they didn't gain any land. What did they gain, though, that I think is very important for a new country such as ours was? Toby? Yes, respect. Because we didn't give up, because we fought hard against a very large opponent, we were smart, we earned respect. Let's keep going. We have one more paragraph on this page. Wincheen.
The war did change how America dealt with the Indians. The Americans had defeated the Indian nations. These nations lost land and fighting strength. The Americans did not always treat the Indians well. Andrew Jackson had defeated a group of French Indians and made them sign a treaty. The treaty took land away from all states, even though it was not for the United States. This was against the law. President Madison ordered Jackson to return to home, but Jackson refused. Jackson was a popular war hero, so the United States government let him do what he wanted.
Well, that's not nice. So, I just got done saying that the Americans and the Britons didn't lose any land. Who lost big time in this war? Ironically, Grayson. Yes. The Indians lost a lot of land. They lost their freedoms because they were very used to just going wherever the buffalo were, the herds were moving, they moved. They had no ownership of land, never did. But they did have their territories of different tribes. And after this war, unfortunately, that all changed. Reservations were formed, and they lost their freedoms, basically.
How dare you, Andrew Jackson?
I know. So not a good compromise for the Indians at all.
Give them some boats so they could sail and go find
They had canoes, but not ships. You mean to sail to a different country? Yeah, they got the bad end of that whole war. They really, really did. We are just going to learn about patriotism, and then we are going to work on our manual. So patriotism. What is patriotism? Helen.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Are Indians still, are Indians, are there still Indians who, go around and, they go in somebody's land even though?
No, Indians have reservations now. They live on their reservations. Who is ever, the biggest one that is around here is Ho-Chunk in Wisconsin Dells. The Ho-Chunk Reservation. That is a huge reservation in Wisconsin Dells.
I've been there.
So the Indians live mostly on reservations. This land that they have been given to by the government, and that is theirs. But no, they're not out wandering around anymore. Well, they're American citizens, but they have reservations and they have their own nations, Indian nations. So the way they live, the way they own, the ownership of land is very different than what you and I have. All right, so what is patriotism? If you look on page 114, wow, there is a bold word, patriotism. Who would like to read what that says? McKenna.
In the War of 1812, many Americans showed courage and love for their country. Love and faithfulness to one's country is called patriotism.
Okay, so that if you love and are faithful to your country, you are patriotic. Who's ever heard of patriotism or patriotic before? Yes. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, that is a show of patriotism. That is showing that we love our country and our flag, and we say the pledge to it. That is a form of patriotism. The 4th of July, when we celebrate the 4th of July, that is patriotism. Anytime you show faithfulness, pride, and showing that towards your country, that is patriotism. Those are just two examples. When you wear red, white, and blue, that's patriotism. Usually on 4th of July. Who wears red, white, and blue on the 4th of July?
I have a necklace that I always
I'm wearing red.
All right, or if you have a flag and you fly the flag at your house, that is patriotism. The flag, the United States of America flag, is a huge symbol of patriotism. We fly it with great pride because we live in the United States of America. All right, so let us keep going. Dolly Madison. All right, who would like to read about Dolly Madison? Boy.
Dolly Madison was the president's wife. When the British attacked Washington, D.C., she saved the Thames from
She
the
saved
White
items.
items from the White House. These include important papers and a painting of George Washington. Today, that painting hangs in the White House.
All right, so there is a painting. I have never seen it, but who has ever been to the White House? There is a painting of George Washington there that was saved from the fire of that destroyed the first White House. Dolly Madison. Way to go, Dolly. All right, let's read about Francis Scott Key. Who would like to? Jeremiah, nice and loud.
Francis Scott Key was a lawyer, saw the large American flag flying over Fort McHenry when the British attacked the fort. He knew that as long as the flag flew, the Americans were unbeaten. He wrote
Bless you.
a poem, The Star Spangled Banner. It later became American national anthem. After the war, Americans were proud of their country. They had defended themselves against the powerful nation. Americans remember heroes who showed patriotism.
Very good. Who has ever heard of the Star Spangled Banner? I hope so. There is on page 57.
It says by Francis Scott Key at the
The
bottom.
Star Spangled Banner on page 57 of your manual. I am not going to sing it. Oh, goodness, no. But I will say it because it is it is sung and performed at all sporting events. And it's a very prominent, it's our American song, our anthem. Oh, say can you see by the, okay, so before I start, I want you to envision, when did Francis Scott Key write this? What was happening at this time? We were just talking about it. What was happening at the time when he wrote this poem? Tyson.
The fort that protected the trading one was getting
Fort McHenry was being attacked by who?
The Brits.
The British. The British are coming. So the British were attacking the fort. And how did he know that America had been successful? What was still flying? Toby. The American flag. He said as long as the flag flew, the Americans were unbeaten. And that is when he wrote this poem that later turned into a song. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare and the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, thus be it ever when freemen shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us as a nation. Then conquered we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, and God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. So that second stanza isn't sung, but the first one, does that sound very familiar? Yes, it should. All right, so excellent. So let us go to page 62 and see how we do a study guide over from the very beginning of our book where we've started to 114. So you're going to find these answers from pages 102 to 114. Why was the American national government unable to pay its bills? So the Indians would not pay their taxes, or when America stopped selling goods to other countries, the government made less money. So harken back to the very beginning, what was happening between France and England, and how did that affect America? Ultimately, how did it affect our the money source of our country? Owen.
Because
So first of all, what is the answer?
when America stopped selling goods to other countries, the government made less money
Right. Why could they not sell goods to other countries? Owen.
because they were fighting
Who was fighting?
Britain and France.
Exactly. And because of that war, we could not get ships through to those areas because France and England would not allow it. Why did the United States go to war with Great Britain in 1882? The British stopped U.S. trade ships and took U.S. soldiers. The British supplied weapons to the Indians in the United States. Which do you think are true, or are they both true? Read both. Did the British stop U.S. trade ships and did they take U.S. soldiers? Yes or no? Yes. Did the British supply weapons to the Indians in the United States through Canada?
Yes.
So are both answers correct? They are.
You said 1882.
1812. 1882, that was not correct. I don't know how I got the 82. Why was Britain not ready to fight a war with the United States? A logical answer. Jonathan.
Britain was already fighting a war with
That's right.
We
And France also is a very powerful country. So that was a big battle that they were in. Why did the Americans try to take over Canada first? Canada was a powerful colony of Britain. Colony had many natural resources that the Americans wanted. Okay, what is the correct answer?
Canada was a powerful colony of Britain.
Yes. And you'd have to raise your hand and then I call on you. Okay? Thank you. But yes, so remember, Britain had a very strong stronghold in Canada at this time. And that was starting to rear a very ugly head for America. Why did the British want to take Washington, D.C.? Boy. Jeremiah, what is Washington, D.C.? A capital of the United States or an important port city? Bless you. Yes. So what was the important port city or area that they wanted to take over at the same time? The British, they attacked Washington, D.C. because it was our capital. That was more of a symbolic attack. But what was the other area they attacked that was more of a military and a very important area? Cole? Yes, what was at Baltimore, Maryland? What was there that was so important to the Americans? We just got done talking about it. Tyson?
Trade and that there was a military base.
There was a military fort. What was that fort called? M.
Fort McHenry.
Fort McHenry. So the British were successful. In fact, there was hardly any fighting in Washington, D.C., and they burned the White House and other buildings. But did we put up a huge fight at Fort McHenry?
Yeah.
Were we successful?
Woohoo!
Yes, we were successful at Fort McHenry. We're not, Washington, D.C. did not fare well, but we rebuilt. What were the results of the War of 1812 peace treaties? It put everything back to the way it was before the war. European countries began to respect America as a truly independent nation. Emmy? Correct. And? M?
It put everything back to the way it was before the war.
So between Britain and us, everything just kind of reverted back to the way it was. Now, not so much for the Indians, but for Britain and us, nobody lost anything except human lives and money, which is nothing to squash at. All right, so answer the question. Write the person's complete name. So think here. Who helped write the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and encourage people to accept them? He's also, at this point in time, the current president. Hint, hint. Not current, meaning Biden. He's not that old. I said the current president at that time. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's not Biden. Owen. James Madison. Very good. Because he did help write the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and is now the president of the United States. Not now, but at that time.
Joe Biden would be very old.
Ooh, they'd be very old. The ancient. Who saved the painting of George Washington from burning in the White House? She is prominently on page 114. I said she. Boy. Dolly Madison, who happens to also be James Madison's wife.
Whoa!
Way to go, Dolly. All right, so you are going to want to look back. End of war on page 112. Who led the American army against the British at New Orleans? So this will be on page 112. His name is not in bold, but scan and see if you can find the answer. Jonathan.
General Andrew?
Well, Andrew Jackson. He is a general too, but Andrew Jackson is his name. Andrew Jackson. No, he's not a president. He is a general. gonna be so hard. I don't know if y'all can handle it. On page 114, who wrote the poem that is now America's national anthem?
So hard.
Who wrote the poem? Look on 114. Who wrote the name or the poem? Then who wrote the poem? What is his name? Tessa. Francis Scott Key.
Yeah, it took like a year to figure out.
Yes. All right, friends, we are already out of time.
Wow, I am so comfortable right now.
Hungry.
Hungry. I am not. Me too. I'm not. Did we already play? It felt like the morning went so.
All right, so friends, this is what homework is going to look like. I never told you to get up. I never told you we were done. I said we were done with social studies. If you have fairy tales, that needs to be done tomorrow. Due tomorrow. WM is Wax Museum. WM, short for Wax Museum. All right. Also, continue to look over your spelling. When you are done, you may line up.